Hello, hello. So how did moi win a trip to Spain? Wow, guys, like this is a story because when I started, I think, in my opinion, when I started this manifestation, it was actually just the knowledge that I knew I was traveling this year. I didn't know with what money, I didn't know where, right? Like those were the I don't know kind of things. If you had asked me for details, and so when I was living into my best vibrational resonance and using my voice work and doing all the things and meditating, all the things I do daily to stay attuned to my energy, that was on deck. Traveling was on deck, right? And it's one of the things that allowed me to think a little bigger this year as well for my business. And it's something that has taken me some time to be able to do because I've always been afraid of expecting something that I couldn't have. I get, when I was a child, that was my biggest pain and disappointment of like hoping for something and then really believing it's going to show up and then it doesn't show up. So, as I am learning and growing in this life and creating what I want and being a manifester, it's something that I've learned to not overdo. Expectation is not a way to thrive for me. I get so bogged down by have tos and how it's going to happen and all the things. So my best entry point is to just acknowledge that I want something, that there's a place for it within me, and just tap into the feeling of what I feel when I have it, right? And so one of the things that allows me to get clear on how that feeling is, what that looks like in vibration, things that are lighting up on the path on the way there, that is my ability to tap into my own vibration of my body from my voice work. So if you haven't heard about my voice work yet, it is the Get Vocal method, and it's soon to be changing names. We have a pending trademark coming through. And one of the things that we do is that we use our voices to understand the vibrations that are happening in our bodies, just bring greater awareness and to recognize our instincts and resonance and intuition by actually feeling it in our bodies first. And our voices are so great at being able to get us into vibration. And so what we want is to be able to do that all the time for all the things. And that's how we create our life, right? So yeah, so and when I first started my business, I had to do it differently. I had to do it differently because I wasn't trying to work myself to death. I had a illness at the time, so I knew I had to be more healing and restorative to my body than working it hard and into the ground, right? And also I stopped wanting to work that hard, period. I had been working hard to get my grad degree and live my life and do my best at all the things that I wanted to do, right? And it was exhausting. I don't recommend it. No. I feel like we want to know our capacity for like how much we can do. But after those early stages of capacity, go hard in your youth, yeah. But when we are in our queendoms, when we're ready to move on from that, then it is so much more fun to kind of receive on the other side, just kind of slightly, yes, put it into the universe and just receive. And that's how I've run my business. I've told people that I thought were resonant, and I kind of stay quiet for the rest of it. And a lot of people found me just in my silence. Like they found me when I was not talking. I'm the one that's not talking. The people are talking to me, but I'm not the one that's going to like talk first, right? So people who think that they have to change their personalities to be in business, it's just not true. If you do it differently and your different may not be as shiny and perfect as everybody else's that you think is out there, start looking for those who aren't as shiny, right? Start looking for those who aren't as shiny. Because I promise you, there's a lot of us that are prospering without all the drama and over execution, right? Yes, we like to things to be pretty, and I think there's always time to evolve. And the people that have been around for a long time, it may not even be that hard for them to do something perfect because they put the work in so that it's so easy. They have their systems, they have their way of doing it, right? But if you're comparing yourself to that person and you haven't had that kind of time or experience, then do it as you are. Again, I say this a lot, one of my favorite quotes is use what you have, do what you can, start where you are. I messed it up. I think it starts with start where you are. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. I don't know how much I messed that up. I probably messed it up pretty bad because I can't remember what I said. But yes, I think they might work both ways though. I think we're good on both ways on that one. So one of the first things that I did in order for me to in this trip was be in vocal vibration, to be in resonance with myself, in resonance with what I wanted and in the abundance of what was on offer. And that how am I able to feel into that is through my vocal work, right? And so if you want to know more about that, you'll find a link below. The second thing I did was that recognition, right? How did I know, right, that I wanted to work with Penelope? How did I know? How did I know? I knew because I went to one of her events, and even though I wasn't able to spend the whole time there, I knew that this was a frequency and a resonance I wanted in my finances. And I knew that she had systems and a process to make that happen. And that's all I needed to know to join up and join in the coursework with Penelope. And for a lot of people, that's different. That looks like, doing the background work and all the things. Um, you know, what level you can trust your intuition at, by how much you question it. But there was no question for me because I was so familiar with the feeling, so familiar with the resonance. I just haven't found it in my finances yet when I met Penelope, right? So I was like, who's going to walk me into this vibration? Somebody of that vibration in the area that I'm wanting to expand into, right? So that's the second thing that I think what happened, because what happened was her ideals were my ideals. Before I fully even understood this from her, her ideals were freedom, right? A community, like family. And she wasn't just talking about it, it was showing up in how she did and how she was sharing her business and how she was inviting people into the work. And all of those things, she was already in alignment, right? And so that's how I recognized it. I recognized it because we had a similar vibration. I felt her. I felt that before I understood it because I wasn't there for the whole spiel. But it's what I know now after a year of working with her, right? I can use the exact words because of that experience of working with her. But in the beginning, it was just the feeling and the understanding that this is where I needed to be. So when I was able to do that, I'm in resonance. And then the people that resonate with me on those things were also attracted to the work. So what happened in the process of that year is I became a partner. They call it JV partnering in the world of coursework, but really it's just saying I will share your work. And if you have a commission structure, then you should share commission with me for anybody that I refer, right? So it's a referral thing. It's a partnership. And so that was so easy for me because I knew people would get so much from the event that I had at this point. I've now gone to 4 of those events. And every time I've gone to those events, I have had a re-immersion into the freedom and possibility that I wasn't even a thought process before I met Penelope. And it was so far from like what I grew up in, and the mentality of the people that I grew up with. And it's not so much that it was a wrong mentality, but there's kind of like a workman mentality, and there's those who want to create financial freedom, and it is different. Anybody who's lived in both worlds knows that, right? There's so many negativities that we attach in like kind of the worker bee world. Even people who decide to go into careers that have a financial freedom abundance mentality, they don't approach their jobs the way a worker bee approaches their job. It's not a have to, right? It's a, this is what I want to do with my life. And it looks completely different. And I wanted that vibration, regardless of what I'm doing. And that's what we tend to always pay attention to. What does it look like? That's the how. Give me, how you did it. And we think the how is the answer, but it's not. It's not the answer. Who you are and how you create is the answer. And that is a process. And that is the energy of which you are amplified in. Right? So the energy that you are, when you find a resonant frequency, it amplifies the ability of how far it goes, what it impacts, what is exposed to that frequency. Okay. That possibility is not prevalent among a worker bee mentality. Okay. And so when we are trying to find another frequency, we gotta experience it first. And often we are only experiencing it by like vicarious activities that somebody else down the street on YouTube, on Instagram did, right? But what you want to do is experience it in your own body for yourself. Recognize it and repeat it. That's what the truth of manifestation is. Now, what that looks like in the hows and the actions, what is that for you? For me and the people that I work with, it's voice. To the way they can recreate that vibration and in huge clarity is voice. So that's why they're attracted to this work. The third thing, I will keep talking. I'm gonna try and make this short. The third thing is being in that vibration, like being in it, being in recognition of what you want without the overwhelm and the anxiety. Again, that's referring back to that feeling of I had to really get away from that expectation feeling, that feeling that I had to do something right, So it was important for me to be able to stay with that vibration without that freaking out feeling. And initially, as a sensitive person, that feeling is a overwhelm, anxiety, but it happens most when we are open-hearted. If we have like this kind of bleeding heart and we love the world and we want the best for everybody and service to all is the highest good and all of those things, and I agree with all of it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to tell the story from my I've lived it perspective. Like I'm in resonance with all of that. And the truth of the matter is that makes us extra sensitive when our hearts are that open. And if we aren't grounding that, if we're not clearly focusing that huge heart open vibration, then it feels like overwhelm. It feels like anxiety. And so a lot of us, yes, heart open and all that, but it's our hearts aren't the problem. Like the heart's good. Like the heart knows how to heart, right? It knows how to love. And I'm talking about chakras for those of you who kind of know what I'm trying to get to here. Your heart chakra is cool. Yeah, I mean, you can do a little energy work on it, but it's solid. It's the rest of us that is out of alignment. So it's when you're using your voice, it really tells us when we're hitting up against that, when we're hitting up against what's not in alignment. And So I want people to know that it's totally possible. It's totally possible. And you can also just go ahead and sign up. You can go ahead and sign up for this amazing event that I was, before I knew I was going to win anything, was more than happy to share with uh, I don't know, a lot of people. I don't share a lot of stuff at all, but I shared this with a lot of people, probably up like at least 20, if not more, 20, 25, which is a lot for me. I don't talk to that many people. So for me to go out and reach out and tell somebody about something that's possibly completely random to them is a huge deal, right? But I do believe that I was telling the people that it would be useful for, so again, it was out of a resonance and desire to share and to give that I was sharing it. And after I shared it, that's when they told me, oh, you may win this trip to Spain. I was like, what? You're only a couple people away. Hey, my skeptical self was like, was like, are they just trying to get me to message more people, or is this for real? But again, I was willing to do it because I trusted the person, and it was a great experience. Like, why not? If I can win something and it only takes me talking to a couple more people, why not share it? It's a great thing to share, right? So it was so low resistance because I was sharing something that I knew would be valuable, right? People have to pay to the event that I was giving, people sharing for people to go for free, right? And that's the same thing for you guys. So because I have this partnership, because I have this friendship, you can also go to this event for free. If you want to know, like, what does it take for Monifa Harris to show up 4 and now 5 times the event's happening again in July? Why would I go 5 times to this same exact event? Because it's powerful, because it's grounding, because it's anchoring in an ideal and a vibration that I am creating more of. Yeah, so I'm inviting you to come on with me because you hung in in this whole time. You too can be a vocal creatrix. You too can have financial freedom. And I hope to see you there because you want to know people like this. You want to know people who are prosperous and out of prosperity share it. That level of generosity is what we need more of in the world. And I hope you built that world with me. I hope that's what we're creating with our voices. See you there.